Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tartar Zone. This is the Tartar Zone Talks, and we're here for the Robot Revolution, or the Planet of Incels, whatever you want to call it. Episode 1 of Season 2, and this is the panel review. But just before we start, obviously, I normally do the panels midweek, and I might have to rethink this now because there's only certain times that people can come on. So this first panel is not going to have all the panelists on that I wanted to bring on. So I may have to change the day, I may have to change the time, but I'm hoping to keep the day, but maybe change the time for a little bit later. But for the first one, we're obviously going ahead with it because I've already made other plans. So it has to go ahead. So yeah, we are here for the Robot Revolution, and we've had the weekend to digest what we have seen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it easy. I'm not sending emails, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the link in. So if you have actually seen the episode, you want to come on and give your 2 cents, you're more than welcome to do so. And I'm putting the link in right now. I do know that I have someone joining me. I have sent out invites to other people, but unfortunately, everybody seems to be doing stuff nowadays, or people have just lost complete interest in Doctor Who. There was a time where I wouldn't even have to go around and ask people if they wanted to come on. People would be asking me, is it all right to come on? But how things have changed since the Whittaker era. Jesus, we used to have, as I said, we used to have no problem getting people on. But we do have, it'll probably just be two of us tonight. If you haven't seen my episode reaction, go and check it out. It's quite eye-opening. I didn't hold back, as I never do. And yeah, I'm still kind of to myself thinking, what the hell did I just watch over the weekend? And as you've seen, the overnights, and we did speak about this on the channel, and I did speak about it on in my private chat that I have on X with a couple of other Whovians. A lot of people were expecting a new episode bounce, as you'd normally do, especially a season premiere episode, but we didn't get that, folks. We didn't get that at all, even after RTD dropped hints of a possible pause and hiatus, which I reckon was deliberate to try boost the numbers up. They even rolled out the big guns on X, Kathy Manning and the likes of Stephen Moffat trying to big up this episode, but none of it worked, folks. None of it worked. I actually showed you, thanks to the Thing King who's in our chat. People actually tuned out while the episode was airing. Okay, it started off with 2.3 something million, and then as the episode continued, people dropped, and it actually did drop, believe it or not, beyond 2 million. Okay, so a lot of us are actually thinking here that this weekend's episode, is going to dip below the 2 million mark. And I did say in the chat, and Cinnamon will back me up on this when I bring him up onto the panel here. I did say to him, this goes two ways. We get the bump, or it continues its downward spiral. And if it continues its downward spiral, Doctor Who is in serious trouble. And that's exactly what's transpired. And look, there are no words anymore that I can use to describe how bad this is. But this is as bad as it gets. And if you've got me even saying that Jodie Whittaker's era numbers were doing better than this, and you know that it's gone horribly wrong, because you know how I felt about that era. You know how I felt about the ratings. Of course, the fans that defended Jodie Whittaker and defended the ratings are now saying that the ratings for this don't matter. So they keep moving the goalposts every time. But the bottom line is that this show is not in a healthy position, and people have to start to come to terms with that and realize that if they had have done what I done and many other Whovians didn't lower our standards and didn't compromise our beliefs, we wouldn't be in this position right now. And as I said, if this show does get canned or does get put on hiatus or rested, whatever word you want to use, right, those fans that kept defending this, you need to look at yourselves in the mirror, because you are just as responsible as the showrunner for the downfall of this great franchise. And listen, we've got a few people in the chat that grew up watching this either with their parents or with family members. I started watching this show thanks to my father. He got me into Doctor Who. So it was kind of passed down, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. And this will be the second time in my lifetime that this show could go on a possible hiatus. Now, remember, obviously, the last time it went on hiatus, it didn't come back for a long time until we did have the Doctor Who movie, but the show itself didn't come back until 2005. And, it's absolutely disgraceful what's happened to this show. BBC have always had a golden goose here, right? And I think they've never understood what to do with it, which is the biggest issue that BBC have. But this show does make money, okay? And it is. Classic Who is still making money for them, right? And Summer New Who is still making money for them. The later eras, these last two eras under Chibs and RTD, are not making as much money. But they fell the ball here in relation to this show. They've always had a golden goose, but they have idiots running the thing. Idiots that are clueless on what to do with the show. And BBC are partly to blame for that as well, because obviously they don't know what to do with it. But it's a sad state of affairs, and I've kind of had time to digest what I watched, and all I'll say is I know people are saying that this was better than the Space Babies and all of this, but I'm sorry, okay? If you're saying this is better than the Space Babies, that's not really a win, because the Space Babies was awful as well. And this is what's happened, unfortunately. Some fans that are still watching have lowered their standards. And I wasn't having a go when I said this a couple of months back when I said fans had lowered their standards. They have lowered their standards, unfortunately. And, I think people now are finally starting to wake up now and say, you know what, we actually have had enough now. And of course, I've been attacked as usual on social media, and one particular person saying I'm manipulating the viewership because I didn't watch it on Disney Plus and BBC iPlayer or BBC. I mean, I've never heard that, and so ridiculous in all my life. One person can't make a difference, right? When it comes to TV shows, right? They can make a difference in other aspects, but come on. I mean, is that how low you're gonna go, that you're gonna attack me for not giving BBC and Disney a view? Why would I give them a view? And yeah, I openly admitted that I didn't give them a view. That I don't care what anybody thinks about that. Why would I give Disney or BBC a view when they're not respecting the show that I grew up all my life watching? And remember, this show has been a big part of my life, most of my life. As a kid, this show was still on TV. Right? This show was still on TV when I was growing up as a kid, right? I've grown up with this show all my life, you might as well say. And the second time in the history of the show and my lifetime, I'm probably going to see a second hiatus. And that is absolutely tragic. It is. This doesn't resemble Doctor Who, but I'm not here alone. If people haven't seen me reaction, go and actually watch me reaction tonight after this stream. I said all I needed to say there, really. But I will get Cinnamon on to give his point of view. But he is joining me at Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Welcome.
Polish.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be me, myself, and Cinnamon tonight. As I said, I have asked a lot of people actually today if they wanted to come on, but some people are busy, some people have other plans, and some have asked me if I could move it to 8, but the wheels were already in motion for this week. So maybe next week I might do the panel review a little bit later so we can get some of those guys on that you love having on. We might see Lee at some stage. 8 o'clock would have been ideal for him, but unfortunately, as I said to him, I already had plans set up because we're not. Listen, I won't be here for 2 hours talking. We're not going to be here 2 hours because I've said all I needed to say during that review. I'll give you my ratings at the end of this stream for that episode. As I said, it's not going to be hard for me to actually rate this episode. And if people have watched it in the chat, give us your opinion and I'll throw it up on screen there. But first, Cinnamon, I want to start off positive if there are any positives, and then we'll get into the negatives. This is how we usually do it here. I ask the panelists to tell me what they actually saw as a positive in the episode, and then we'll get into the negative stuff, because for me, there's a lot of negative stuff in this, but you might have liked something. So we'll ask you, what did you like about Planet of the Incel? Sorry, the Robot Revolution.
Well, to start off, I'd probably say it was, upon reflection, looking back, very, very mid episode. Not too bad, but certainly nothing great. A positive, it had, well, dare I say, I mean, I probably will say, dare I say, charm. You know, there was certain moments that made me remember. Now, maybe I'm just saying this because it was in a hospital and it reminds me of, you know, Smith and Jones. Maybe it's just that talking. I don't know, but that sort of vibe was there to some degree. That you had traces again. That it's a common theme with RTD2. You do get the odd slither of RTD1 in there, just sprinkled just slightly, but it's never usually always enough to the point where you go, oh yeah, we're back. Because we're not back yet. I see people say, oh, are we back? No, we're not. We're not yet. Hold those horses. Keep them locked up. Because, I mean, it felt like, was there agenda? I think when it comes to the remark about, I mean, I'm trying to start positively, but they kind of flow in between. That's how it rolls. As I know we try and stick to a structure, but like for every positive, there's usually a negative as well, and they kind of go hand in hand a lot of the time. So again, the charm was there in moments. I like Belinda as a companion. I think looking at some of the leaked clips beforehand, there was some people thought the dialogue was a bit forced and questioning the acting in places. I thought she was okay. Yeah, she's a bit, you know, a bit of a moody cow. But
do you know what?
I don't mind that.
Do you know what? To me, and no woman out there take offense, but every time I saw her, it just looked like she had resting bitch face. She just didn't look like she wanted to smile that much. Again, you know, you say she's good. I think, you know, Martha Jones, better companion. Donna Noble, better companion. I think the last few companions that we've had, Chibnall era and this era, haven't been great. In fairness, I'd even say Millie Gibson's been a bit disappointing. I don't know. I just don't think the companions are being utilized properly within the show. If you get what I'm trying to say,
like, they also don't get enough time as well. I mean, 8 episodes.
Yeah,
that's all she's going to get. Like, if we actually think about it, she's got 8 episodes probably, and then that's it. A blink and you'll miss it companion. That's what I summarized it in a tweet when she came out and made a few points about certain things. But it is like, it is it. You know, at least in the past, you could have, you know, your typical sort of Doctor, maybe more, well, not Doctor focused, but more sci-fi focused. Like in series 4, you'd have like the first couple of episodes where they were just on regular adventures, and then you'd get something like the Sontaran two-parter, which was on Earth. It was contemporary. It was modern day. It was a two-parter as well, longer story. It allowed Donna to go home for a little bit and see the granddad and mum. So you get those sort of scenes where it didn't really, again, you look back at season 1, and I don't mind Ruby Sunday as a companion, but you never really saw much of a family, though. Not really. There were sprinkled scenes in there throughout, but it wasn't like how it was. It tries to be how it was with Rose and Mickey and that kind of family unit.
Yeah,
But
but
again, it's
bar,
half, it's 50, it's a glass
but,
half empty
but
rather than a
bar,
glass half full.
but bar 73 3 yards. Ruby Sunday did jack shit throughout that season, though. This is me point. The companions are not. It seems like the companions are kind of faded in the background. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen with Belinda, right? It's only the first episode. You're right. We have to be fair here. But from what I've seen of her, I think she's just going to be very annoying. A bit like what Martha Jones was like in that very first episode, where she kept moaning at the doctor, and then the doctor moaned back at her, and then everybody was angry at the fact that the doctor kind of tried to put her in her place and all of this, but not give out about the fact that Martha was moaning all the time. But it just seems to me that she's just going to constantly complain during this season, to be quite honest with you. She even took offense when he said he's doctor. Well, I'm a nurse. It was like there seemed to be a little bit of competition there already. Even the way she treated the fella that gave her the certificate and gifted her the star, right? Even her reaction to that was like, you could be a little bit better there. He's not the gifting you a star. Like, any woman would say, wow, that's. But her reaction to it, and I suppose it is RTD that's writing this, but I just felt the reaction was cold. Now, of course, RTD made it out well. She got rejected. She rejected him, and then he turns into a complete psychopath. So much so that he starts a war on a planet after he's kidnapped. Like, I mean, I just don't get what this. I'm still kind of shocked what I watched. By the way,
I think it'll come into. I think he'll do it a bit because there's a brief clip where there's dialogue of him saying, "Oh, you're beginning to enjoy this." So I'd imagine she's going to slightly warm up to it.
good point.
Which I hope.
Paul.
I do hope she's like, even though I don't mind her now, I do hope she's not a constant huffing and sighing, because it will get old very quickly, even for me. If every single episode, it'll turn into like that movie, that Ice Cube was, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we home yet? It's like, there'll be a point where it'll just get a bit too much. I just think,
As I said, just throw her into the time vortex and get it done and over with. But Paul has actually asked a good little question there. It's in relation to the companion. How old is she meant to be? Sitting on the bench 17 years ago, she must have been about 16. So today she's in her early 30s. Or are we supposed to look too deeply into that? That's a good point. How old was she when she was on the when she was sitting on that bench with your man?
probably probably like you said, about 16, 17. But obviously they can't. Well, it's a bit hard. It's easier to age someone up than age someone down. So yeah, okay, she won't look exactly like a 16-year-old, but they try and give her pigtails and make her look slightly young, or give her a sort of little girl haircut. I say little girl, 16, 17. So yeah, I wouldn't think too much in it. But yeah, you are right, of course. It would be about that, yeah. Because if she's actually older than Shooty, isn't she, in real life? About a couple of months older. He's
Is she?
31, she's 30. Yeah, I even looked it up. She's actually older than him. Not by much, I
Wow.
don't think, but something like that. I could be
Wow.
wrong.
I didn't want to see Ruby's family. They were dull as dishwater. Yeah, I mean, Ruby is coming back. I don't see the point, really, to be quite honest with
I
you.
liked her grandmother. She was funny.
The grandmother was funny in the bed, yeah. The grandmother was probably the only, the cup of tea.
They just
But
didn't flesh it
again,
out. That's just it. They make the boring to some people, like I say, JWC thinks are dull as dishwater. Maybe if he spent a little bit more time fleshing them out rather than him fleshing out Rogue. I mean, there was a lot of fleshing there from Shooty and him and them together, wasn't there? So a little bit too much flesh. A little bit too much gyrating as well. I mean, again, it's things like that. I can laugh at it and like think it's funny at the time, and I still kind of think it's funny. It was a very shooty thing to do, but it was the context behind it. Again, like the whole pursuing him. Again, I'm not here to talk about Rogue, but see again, it sprinkles.
But the fact that you're going back to other episodes, but this is the thing. This is why I know that this episode was complete horseshit. It's because we keep going back and talking about other episodes rather than just focusing on this one. And that's RTD's fault. What I found was the biggest turn off of this whole episode was the messaging was strong in this, and nobody can deny that. I mean, the messaging was way over the top. So we had toxic masculinity, we had abortion, he killed a cat on screen. What else? Someone else said something as well. But the messaging is strong in this. And by the way, if anybody is wondering what the abortion thing was, is when the polish robot, after the doctor had actually killed Alan, he laughed his head off, and then he said, "Oh, he's a sperm in an egg." And then next of all, the machine comes along and just polishes the egg and the sperm up, and he starts laughing about it. So that's where the abortion thing comes in. So just in case anybody thinks I'm making it up, I'm not. He was actually sending a clear message there that he supports abortion. I'm surprised Peter, whatever you fucking call them, haven't gotten on to RTD and BBC and Disney, because we saw the robots execute a cat on screen. Now, some people have, and I just want to make the point, some people have said, well, in Classic Who, the Doctor did this and the Doctor did that. Classic Who is a completely different animal to New Who, right? Okay. In New Who, Matt Smith's Doctor wouldn't even use a gun. David Tennant's Doctor wouldn't use the gun when Wilf handed him the gun, even though he knew it was the Master returning and the Time Lords returning. Okay? Don't be bringing up what happened in Classic Who and trying to justify what happened in New Who. That was disgusting. That was disgusting. This is a family show. It's a family TV show. Okay? And this is what you're getting. You're getting lectures on male toxicity. Right, so he gets turned down and he turns into, oh man, and then your man, the soldier, right, Rambo wannabe, like, how stupid and dumb was he? And the actual dialogue, the dialogue was like, it was written by a 3-year-old. This dialogue was so bad. There's nothing, listen, I'm not, I know people have said it's better than Space Babies, but that's not a fucking win. I'm sorry. Space Babies was fucking awful. And I even said, okay, there's some scenes in Space Babies where I laughed out loud, right, when the babies start fucking talking. That was funny, but stupid at the same time. But that's nothing to say, oh, yeah, it's better than Space Babies, so we got to win. No, we didn't. We didn't. And it's reflected in the ratings. This whole thing, it's just, look, there's one thing that came across. RTD is a very bitter man, and he's bitter with the world. Right, and he's going to, if you're a white male today, you're going to be told how much of a horrible person you are, and you're full of toxic masculinity, and she's going to add to that as well. This new companion, she's going to be used as that device to push that message across. I mean, the way he wrote Alan in the first bit, well, you can't text anybody after 8 o'clock. Where to get all this shit. That doesn't happen in real fucking life. Well, I'm not saying it doesn't. Okay, there might be some boyfriends out there that do that, and that's disgusting, right? But to write that in a family TV show, this is a science fiction show. Has RTD actually forgotten what he's writing? Do you know what I've been watching the last couple of days? The Card season 3, the one that Terry Metalis did, right? The good one with the Next Generation crew, right? That was brilliant. Right, character development, me bit of science fiction, me pew 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 that I like as well. It had everything. That's why that did so well, because it didn't forget what it was. a science fiction show. This isn't a science fiction show. The RTD is just going to use every single episode to give us a lecture. How dare you for being white? And do you know what the ironic thing is? He's white himself, so he hates his own skin. He hates his own skin. And now we have to listen to a man that's having a nervous breakdown or a midlife crisis or whatever it is he's having, right? And we're going to have to watch for the next 7 weeks now of this crap, because this gets worse. This is not getting any better, right? The agenda is going to be full in this. It's not going anywhere. And he has proven it after the first episode. The only thing that I liked about this was the beginning, which is the titles, and the end when the titles rolled in. That's it.
One thing I find funny as well is it's that it tries to push a message, but it can't even do that right, because he talks about Planet of the Incels. All right, the bloke he was a controlling POS, manipulative, but I don't think he hated women. I think you have to be in order to qualify as an incel, you have to be someone who resents or actually hates women. I don't think he hated women. I just think he wanted to control clearly Verada or her character. So again, I don't quite get that.
Here's another one. The numpty shut down the life support in a hospital. Yeah. Exactly. The fans were trying to... But you know what? Some particular fan went into a whole thing. Well, I worked in a hospital, and if that happens, the generator kicks in. So nobody really died. Well, he didn't show that in the episode, so I don't care what happens in real life. He didn't show the generator coming back on again in the episode. So yeah, he did kill people that were on life support machine. You can defend it all you like. We didn't see the hospital lights come back on. We didn't see a generator kick in the episode. So I don't care what happens.
Yeah, it might have been 3 hours before he got it back on. You know, who knows? You better hope he got it done quickly.
So there, Daleks are forever. Made that point. Thank you for reminding me of that. So that's the thing here, right? So he's more right now. In the very first episode, the Doctor has murdered multiple people, and we saw a cat being vaporized on screen by these robots. What did you think of the robots? Because there's a rumor that obviously when this episode aired, a couple of hours before it aired, Stephen Moffat put up a very interesting photograph of himself with a Dalek. And the rumor is actually, believe it or not, is that it wasn't supposed to be those robots. The Daleks were supposed to be part of this story. And the rumor is, and I'm saying it's a rumor before anybody jumps on it, and you all know who I'm talking about, but the rumor is that they didn't get permission to use the Daleks for this episode. Now, I don't know how true that is, because there was a deal done when New Who came back that the Daleks had to feature wasn't it? They had to feature at least once every season or whatever.
I think that's what people are saying. I don't know if that was just a myth or whatever that was, because they weren't in season 6, were they? And I don't think they were in season 10 either. Oh, actually, maybe they were in the Christmas specials. I could be misremembering, but I know people say that a lot of the time, don't they? But and maybe people are putting it 2 and 2 together because of because it does look like an extermination effect when you see people who are getting vaporized. You see the skeleton, and you see the ships flying overhead, and they look like. I even when I saw the trailer, I thought, oh, they're Daleks, because they look like the saucers, similar shape, shooting, same sort of stuff that we've seen. It looked pretty much it's a very, very, very uncanny resemblance between them. So I actually thought, it could be a Dalek story, but guess not.
Actually, Melon Rattler is like me. He gives 0 fucks and is out straight. He says, I love how much of a CUNT the companion was. She perfectly represents what someone on their side of the aisle is actually like. Well, listen, I actually called out Katie Manning for supporting this, and I actually said this is what a sellout looks like. I've been called a monster. I was called a monster. I was called all sorts of stuff. The season's only started back now, and I'm getting people in me DMs calling me all sorts of names. It's funny. I've actually said to them, listen, get new material. I've heard it all before. But Dermot O'Reilly as well with a perfect comment there. There are plenty of women who are controlling and in toxic, are toxic in relationships too. RTD should do an episode on that
Yeah, definitely. I should know.
sometime for balance. But you will never get balance. That's the thing. But in fairness, let's be honest. I think we all know anyway that men can be more toxic when it comes to relationships. We can't deny that. But again, this shouldn't be in a show like Doctor Who.
And it'll always be
Doctor
a white
Who,
male that's shown to be
yeah,
toxic as
it's
well.
Doctor.
Considering,
It's yeah, but it's a
it'll
science
never be
show.
perhaps a black male or perhaps a,
Oh no, they
if
wouldn't do that because they'd be
he's
accused of
Indian
racism.
born, you could have had a sort of Indian boyfriend or someone who had
Yeah,
a similar colour to her,
exactly.
and he could have been the toxic male. But no, it always has to be white toxicity. You can never have female toxicity, can you? That's
So
another thing by calling it
Shelley
toxic
there
male.
says that the cyborg guy Alan was supposed to be the walking Davros. I think they had to change the episode. Look, we do know that there were reshoots done. Would it have been in relation to this episode? I don't know, but we do know that reshoots were made. So look at Shelley. I will say this: I wouldn't be surprised. Is what I'm going to say.
It did feel like it was a bit rushed, wasn't it? There wasn't much flow to the story.
No.
It felt like it was a bit, it needs to go here now, so let's go here. It was very quick and there was no like sort of natural flow to it. So maybe there's some credence to what people are saying there. Because
Paul says Paul says the only thing I liked about the episode was the artwork straight out of Dan there / the Flash Gordon. I would agree with you on that. I mean, look, the robots look stupid anyway, man. They look really.
The spaceship looked a bit like a child, sort of like classic, like a traditional child's toy spaceship. I mean, I don't want to be overly critical about some spaceship because it doesn't really matter. But do you know what I mean? Like it was just, oh wow, it looks like some sort of giant toys kids spaceship or something. Look like a toy.
Look, it's not even hard to fix this mess. That's the frustrating thing about it. I know Chibs and RTD have upset a lot of fans, and they have, right? And it will take some fans a while to even trust anybody with Doctor Who again. But as I said, if they wrote decent stories, went back to its roots, you will eventually win those fans back over. But you've got to take care of the show. There's been a lot of damage. And remember, showrunners, we even had her come out like before the episodes even dropped. And I think this is what's happened as well. The fact that RTD, a woman that plays Belinda, I can't say her name, I'm not even going to attempt to say her name, and Shooty complaining about, how fans are complaining, and she said, what was it? If people are giving about the wokeness, we're doing it right, or some shit like that. Well, I hope you're happy. Shooty telling fans to touch grass. Well, I hope you're happy because I think it looks like fans did go out and touch grass, mate. 2 million for a premiere episode of a season, of a brand new season, and you couldn't even get to. You scraped the 2 million. You scraped the 2 million because while people were watching live, they were tuning out. It dipped down to 1.9 at one stage. And I've shown that, by the way. I've shown receipts because unlike other people out there, I do show receipts. And thanks for the Thing King, who does be in me private chat. He gets all of those screenshots for us and all because, we like to keep on top of things in our chat. We like to keep up to date with all of the latest news in relation to it. Robert says, a nurse gets rescued, civilization gets liberated, and all Belinda can do is tell the doctor off for scanning her without permission. That was another thing as well. But Rose, in fairness now, I'm just going to say, Rose, in fairness, did actually give Christopher Eccleston's doctor a lecture during the End of the World episode where, she had a go at him for what was it, assuming or whatever it was, but she did have a go. So it's not a new.
It was the first one, wasn't it? When he just sort of like he pulls Mickey's head off, all the plastic Mickey, and she's like,
that as well, yeah. And
she thinks he's dead, and he doesn't even give a second thought about. So that was how I see it. I know people will look at because it's about incels, so people will naturally make that conclusion that about you scanning me
Yeah,
without
so
my
it's been
permission, you
done
must be a
before.
toxic male.
But that's the thing I'm going to defend you on, Robert, is that there's nothing new here from RTD if you really analyse it. He hasn't given us anything new because he's done this shit before, except it's full of agenda this time and he's messaging. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Daniel says, yes, Kathy Manning has gone down in my estimation too. Yeah, and listen, I'm not afraid to call these people out. Someone called her a national treasure. She's not a national treasure. She was never a national treasure either, so I don't know where people are getting that from. She starred in Doctor Who for a couple of years and then left. Right? She's not a
She's
national
not above
treasure.
criticism. I mean, I saw that tweet. Someone called you a monster because you
Yeah,
dared
I'm
to
a
have an
monster for
opinion. I mean,
calling her a
it's a bit
sellout. She is a
strong. I mean,
sellout. They're all sellouts. Anybody that supports this is a sellout, right? Because they're basically bashing fans. They're using Doctor Who to bash fans, especially if you're a white person, right? And you're all just accepting it. And I'm not going to accept it. I'm sorry, right? I know what this show can be. I know where it can go with its quality. We all seen it during the 50th anniversary, the height of Doctor Who during its 50th anniversary, right? That was the height of Doctor Who. It was top quality. Everybody was talking about it. You are proud to be a Doctor Who fan. Now it's gone back to the days of the late 80s where you're ashamed to say you're a Doctor Who fan. Because if you say to other fans out there, oh yeah, I'm a Doctor Who fan, so you support that wokey, not, you know what I mean? That's what you get. So it's just like back in the 80s where it's become a fucking joke. I just want to read out because we don't normally, because there's only two of us, Cinnamon. I want to get as many comments in. I will let you continue, but I just want to read some of these. Um, um, Kathy Manning, though, is a hyper positive 78-year-old theatrical. It's always been her way. Yeah, I will agree, but look, there's no way Annie, and I said this then in response to, because someone says, could you tell me what particularly? I said, no fan in their right mind or true fan is going to enjoy this. I'm sorry, right? And if that hurts anybody's feelings out there, I don't care. You're not a Doctor Who fan if you accept this as Doctor Who. It's as simple as that. It's not Doctor Who. It's nothing like Doctor Who. I'll even say during the Jodie Whittaker era, yeah, I didn't like it, but at the same time, there were some episodes in that era that felt like you are watching Doctor Who. It was just she's a shite lead, right? There's nothing about this that feels like Doctor Who. I'm sorry. And yeah, there might be, he might have fucking harped on a bit of nostalgia here, trying to echo things that happened in the past. But it's full of the message and it gets lost. And I'm sorry, it's not going to improve. I don't think. Now I know everybody's saying next week's episode could be interesting, but don't be surprised if the ring a ding man comes out and he starts giving everybody a fucking lecture about something, right? And what's all this shite with Mrs. Flood breaking the fourth wall every
that needs
time
to
and looking
stop.
at the
That's
fucking
another
camera?
thing.
That's
That's
pissing
another
me off.
negative as well. It
That's
it
well,
was kind of cute the first time, and then that was it. But then, if again you had him winking, didn't you? At Devil's Code, you've had constant fourth wall breaking. It's just it takes me out of it. I can't take it seriously. I want to, but then it's like, oh wow, every other episode, someone's trying to talk to the audience. I don't want to be there. I'm the viewer. I want to enjoy the story. I want to take it seriously. Don't keep looking at me. You think it's all clever and quirking. It's again, like, it was kind of cute the first time, if even that. No, you keep doing it and keep doing it, thinking it's like, oh wow, it's so great, isn't it? Like, no, like it's just you just basically saying, no, yeah, it's just a TV show, isn't it? At the end of the day, which yeah, it is, but they don't need to tell me that. They're the characters. They're supposed to bring me into their world. I don't want to bring them into my world. Oh, let's have a look. Let's again, and then you'd have some idiot on it. No, well, Tom Baker did it. Yeah, once in about 26 seasons. Or even the Sonic Screwdriver won't get me out of this one.
what's
That was kind of in
disappointing though
character.
is the fact that we've got all of this budget, right? And we're not actually getting that new from RTD. And we should have seen this coming because even bringing David Tennant back and we got those specials, he didn't do anything groundbreaking in those episodes either. It was like more of the kind of same, but it's intertwined with his message. and his points that he wants to get across, his personal ideology, because he's angry at the world right now. And we have to, as fans, like, we're suffering through this, to be quite honest with you. I'm telling you now, right? I didn't think I would get as angry as I did, the way I got angry with the Timeless Child nonsense. But if you haven't seen me live reaction, right? I've even listened. I don't normally listen to myself back, but I was even listening to the way I was going on. I said, "Geez, I need to cool it down a little bit, or I'm gonna drop dead here, heart attack galore." Like, because it was he just made me so angry, because he had a chance here, right? With all of that money, and I know money isn't everything with us, but they think today they do. But if he had utilized that money properly and brought in some decent fucking writers and people that understood sci-fi, you know, they
The
don't
best thing I
necessarily
can
have
say
to be
about this entire era, the best thing is that it's the
wrong.
best Doctor who's ever looked. But
Yeah,
that doesn't mean much when the
that's
stories
that's
aren't
the
quite backing it
positive.
up as well.
Yeah, it looks stunning. It does, and I'll admit that myself. It's looked the best it's ever looked, personally. And I have to say, even the intro has grown on me. But it looks absolutely spectacacular. But that's
But
not what we
as
watched.
great as it
We don't.
looks, people will. I'd rather sit there and watch again a Hartnell story. I'd rather sit there and watch the 10th Planet
Even
over and over.
Rose,
And
look
that
at
was
Rose has
60
aged
odd
badly.
years
You
ago.
watch Rose now, right? You watch Rose now, it's aged badly, right? But even though it does, the CGI looks horrible. It is. It's
The next
aged
in
badly.
consciousness, yes, but like the rest of the
But
episode, aren't
but that's what I'm saying. In terms of the writing, the character development, and the storytelling, Cinnamon, it's top notch. So
it
even
even
though the
surprised me as well.
CGI looks a bit shit now, right? The story brings you in, it drags you in. So, you know, for us as Doctor Who fans, we've always been used to shitty fucking and shaky sets. You know,
Like
so,
when I obviously we've just had the 20th anniversary of New Who, and I watched because people in our group chat, I know Tim thinking was watching it, so I thought, well, I'll watch it. I'm in the mood for it. I haven't seen it for a while, so I put it on. I even said in the chat on the day, like, wow, like it's even better than I remember. It's not even nostalgia talk because I actually, obviously, I know the story and I can remember the scenes, but when you actually sit there and watch something again and you hear all the dialogue and see every scene, and if you haven't seen it for a while, I was actually kind of like, okay, it has silly moments like the bear bin and things like that, and the plastic pizza and all that. Things like that are, one thing. But then like, you actually forget how kind of serious the episode is at times. Like it takes itself seriously. It knows when to sort of like be funny and not be funny. Like when he's just sort of like I love that scene. It's a
yeah,
great
that's a
like
deadly
scene.
scene. It
Like when
is.
they're
It is.
walking, when they're coming out the flat or they're walking sort of across the council estate, and there's no cuts. There's no cut to it. It's all one scene, and it's like that's good acting because they've got a. It was quite a long scene that they're talking about the nesting consciousness and it's not a price war, and then he has that fantastic speech, which I think even rivals the. Like everyone talks about, just this once, like everybody lives, but
Yeah,
people often overlook that first one. We're hurtling around the sun at 1,000 miles per hour, or whatever it was. That's like, oh wow, that like it gives me goosebumps even hearing it again. And I thought, like, Doctor Who just doesn't do it like this anymore. There's no. I mean, he said there in an interview recently that we might see a darker, more serious 15th star. Well, yeah, okay, so we should. Does everything have to be so like quirky and does everything have to be so upbeat? Like I'm a pretty upbeat guy myself. I'm pretty positive in my personal life. I'm quite silly. I'm quite daft, and I like to have a laugh and a banter. But like a lot of my favorite episodes are the dark ones because I like that counterbalance. If everything I liked was just upbeat all the time, again you have to have a balance there, is what I'm saying, and it used to back in the day. Whereas, I mean, apart from Boom, which again was probably the most tense of the season, and or more, and again coincidentally my favorite. Um, it's just always been too light, and it's not. It's always too frothy. It's not serious enough, and it's too. giggly. You know, again, it works for again, it works sometimes because I did like that dynamic about it with the Doctor and Rovi. They did feel like two kind of schoolgirls giggling at the back of class, and this is probably why I like Belinda a little bit, because we've had enough of that. We've had that for a season. Can we have something different? I don't want to see Shooty just giggling all the time now. I want to see him a little bit of odds. I want to see push back at him. So that's maybe why. Maybe that's why I'm looking at it differently. Yeah, I don't want her huffing and sighing, a bit like how Romani used to be, tutting and rolling eyes all the time. Obviously, I hope she warms up a little bit, but I don't mind that. That's why she didn't grate on me as much as maybe other people, because I don't mind her, saying like, well, "What are you doing that for?" Like, to be sometimes, I think the 15th Doctor needs to be told. I'm sure we all agree on that. Sometimes he's just too much, and again, that's coming from me, who quite likes the Doctor to some degree. He's all right in some episodes. He was okay in this episode for me personally.
Yeah,
Some little bit,
he started
but then
crying again.
yeah, that's another thing that can stop as
He was
well.
crying 1 minute because he lost your woman that he was stuck with for 6 months, but then in another scene he completely forgotten
Yeah, but you
about
know
her
what?
and was like,
Yeah, but you know why I like that, and I'll try and not change your mind. Obviously, I'm not here to change your mind, but I'll give you maybe some context for why I might have a different opinion. I seen someone say this, and I actually agree with it. And it's not often you see a tweet on Doctor Who Twitter and think, "Oh yeah," because it's just so divisive. But I've seen it, and someone compared it to Donna. How, for example, after series 2, we obviously are quite raw. We feel like the Doctor does in a sense because we've just lost Rose as a companion, so he's obviously still quite emotional from that. And then he meets Donna straight away, and she's giving it big, and she's gobby, and she's this and that and the other. And she's just not having any of it, and she's even a little bit not cruel, but she's even like, "Oh, who's she then? Another one you picked up." She obviously doesn't know the Doctor. She doesn't know Rose, so she's a little bit, she goes in for the throat a little bit. Now, this I kind of see it as the other way, and the person who tweeted it clearly did as well. How we're a little bit like Donna in this situation. That Sasha 55, that was kind of like an off-screen companion that we didn't know about. 6 months, okay, for the Doctor probably isn't that long, but like no, for you to know someone for 6 months and then they die, even if you are the Doctor, he's been stuck in that one place for 6 months. He's going to be growing attached. Now, does that mean he has to cry all the time? Obviously not, because again, I'm getting sick of that.
no, but my
Every
point is he
episode.
did cry, but in the very next scene he was happy and jump. It was like, okay, he had his cry, he's mourned her
Yeah.
for that few minutes, and now he's moved on. Like, that's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with that.
The inconsistency.
Yeah, it is inconsistent. Exactly. You wouldn't get over it that quick. And then he goes off to do what he does. Like, he basically murders your man and laughs about it. He does even a little Fortnite dance, as someone said. Like, the Doctor has always had regret. We know that when he's being left in an impossible situation where he has to do something. For God's sake, they brought the war. They did a whole thing with the war, Doctor, right? And changed the whole thing with the time war, right? And Gallifrey being blown up, right? Did the whole war because he felt guilty about doing it. So we got that 50th anniversary special where he corrected that. And then now, a few years later, he's basically dancing on people's graves. I don't get it, man. He showed more emotion when he saw the fucking TARDIS. As Baldstrick likes to call it, his bang palace.
I remember that one.
Actually, you
Who
should
knows
go
what
and
he
listen
gets
to
up
his
to in
review. It's
there.
funny.
But no, I just seen like tweet. But yeah, Robert makes a good point. Romana was also a Time Lord. She was, if not probably in some regards, probably even a little bit more intelligent. Academically. We all know the Doctor didn't really do well in his exams. But I think I'm
Yeah,
looking at it more like from Madonna's point of view. Like she doesn't. There's no nonsense from him or from her. She doesn't. She'll put him in his place. She'll speak her mind, and I kind of maybe that's kind of what I'm getting at. I just think I agree with you. There is a sort of tonal inconsistency. Even when he's trying to tell a message with the whole incel. Well, was he an incel? But okay, she called them one, but just because she called him one doesn't make him one. I don't think he actually hated women. I don't think he hated Belinda. I think if anything, he wanted to be. It was too much the other way. It was
He
too
was
much like, oh, you
intense.
can't text. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
way too intense, way too manipulative, or you can't text after 8. I don't think it was incel. I
And
don't
I
think
think
it.
you could tell it was probably his first real girlfriend, or he didn't have
Possibly
experience in this. So you can
immature,
understand.
immature,
Yes.
insecure. Possibly you could do all these
Yeah.
things, but does there have to be toxic masculinity? Because again, these are traits anyone can have. I've been in a relationship before. It was a bit like him. Again, so I know it. So and that wasn't a male. So what's your point?
People can
They
get
can
jealous.
still
Yeah,
have
you
him
can.
feel like that
Insecure.
without trying to sort of drive home some big, oh, well, it's toxic masculinity, and everyone who's a man needs to have a big discussion and look at ourselves and how we treat women. It doesn't have to be that deep, because at the end of the day, Russell,
No.
anyone can be like that. Again,
But
I'm living
again,
proof.
it goes back to my original point. This is Doctor Who. This isn't some soap or
Yeah,
some, it's Doctor Who. It's a science fiction show. And
I mean, question why the word incel is even in an episode of Doctor. That's quite a. I mean, it's not a
Planet
slur,
Planet
but
of
it's a.
Incels, like that was actually in the script. That was
Yeah,
actually a line in the episode, Planet of Incels. But I mean, to make your man basically, so he gets his heart broken, he gets kidnapped by the old robots, and then he basically starts a civil war.
and then even then,
Now,
actually, even then. Okay, is it even his own fault? Because again, they did this whole thing about every 8th or 9th word, was it? They were speaking in code. So they'd ramble and ramble, and then like every other word he'd be trying to speak or say something. I thought that was kind of clever, actually. I'll give him that one, because that one I thought worked. Again, some bits of the plot feel forced, because not everything makes sense, but I'll get into that where I can. But even then, at the end, he was saying like, "Oh, help me, put me out of my misery." It was kind of because he was also doing the every 8th word. So for all as much as they try and paint him as just as being the evil villain, which again he had definitely had his faults, it wasn't like he was quite doing this out of his conscience. It was the AI. I think that was, unless I'm just getting this wrong, it seemed like that the AI was doing all the talking, and then again his subconscious was like saying, "Can you put me out of this or whatever?" Because that's what it seemed like to me. Because he was, if you go back, I'm sure he talks like, "Can you stop this pain?" Hurt, things like that, those words he was saying. So again, it's where it falls flat as well. Again, like even everything, it's like, where? How did he know? Why was he looking for Belinda in the first place? He hadn't even met her yet. I know it's kind of something to do with. Was it to do with the fact that he touched her at the end, and then he sort of said like, "Oh, I travelled through your life like a bullet." Is that then therefore timey wimey wibbly wobbly? Therefore, that's how he knows her, and that's how he knows to look for her. Again, I don't think that was very explained very well. If you get what I mean, why is he looking for her at the beginning? This is what I mean. Why is he there in her back garden? Why is he shouting Belinda? How does he even know her? It kind of sets these things up, all these kind of questions, and then kind of possibly answers them later when you've probably forgot about them. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It's a bit like
yeah, but you
he
really
sets
care.
things up and doesn't really explain them very well. And then, like, some bits I'd imagine are going to be left that we'll find out in future episodes.
Yeah,
But
but
again,
you really care about her origins. Like that's the thing as well. Do you actually give a damn enough to know what she's all about and what her connection is with obviously the 54th century version or whatever? Do we actually really care? Like
well,
that's the
if you
question
just
I'd
run
like
over
to
the
ask.
show, you'll say no. But I mean, as someone who's trying to give it its best chance and trying to look at it for what it is, Russell, you have to be able to sell a story coherently. And today, objectively, I haven't been able to follow it. Whether I like this era or I haven't liked this era, end of the day, I don't think he's conveyed his story very well. It's a little bit forced. It's a little bit rushed. There's no time. Everything just happens because it needs to happen. So again, as someone sitting there, I'm trying to make sense of it, and I haven't been able to do that. So unless I've gone wrong
Right.
somewhere, see what I mean?
We've
It's a
got
bit
we've
like,
got yeah, we've got someone in the studio that's going to set this whole stream alight now if it really is him. Uh How am I going to figure out if it's him again?
It'll be him. Come on.
It has to be him, doesn't it? I did send him
Put something in this
old,
chat that only he would say.
right. Well, if it's not, then this is going to be funny. But anyway, hopefully this is problem B.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, it's not him.
Oh, right.
It is him.
I'll bugger off then.
AI.
It is him.
Yeah. You know those AI generated bots.
Yeah, he's an AI version of Problem Bank. Money messing it is Problem Bank, folks. Welcome to the panel.
Hello.
Nice to have you. Look, I did say at the start of the stream before you hop in and all this, maybe for next week's stream we will leave it till later. It's just everything was in motion and I have plans made, so we've got another hour to go. But maybe for next week's one we'll do at 8 o'clock, because then there'll be loads more people available like yourself and all of that, and Jack and other people that want to come on, because as I was saying, for the first time, normally I don't even have to ask people to come on. Normally I get people, when you're doing your panel now, can we come on, blah, blah, blah. But it just goes to show you how dead this fucking show is that like I'm going around now asking people if they want to come on, and like I didn't watch the episode I'm getting, or I I'm doing something else, which fair enough.
Indeed.
It just goes to show you how bad this show has fallen. But Lee, obviously, you know what we're here talking about, the robot revolution, or the planet of incels, whatever you want to call it, mate. I just keep calling it the planet of incels. I think that's just absolutely funny.
Right.
But you saw my reaction to it, obviously, and you wrote a comment and you said, Noel, I could tell the moment your heart was broken. I mean, it's just, I didn't think I'd react this strongly like I did with the Timeless Child. I never thought I'd react like that again. Obviously, I did fucking break down Jordan. That's different. But the anger that I had during that review, I had the same anger in me when I was watching this complete tripe, in my opinion. What was your opinion on this shit show?
Well, after listening to your reaction, I went and looked at a bunch of other reactions, ones that seemingly seem immune to BBC copyright strikes. So I got to watch most of the episodes through their reaction videos. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, some people can use as much BBC footage as they like, not a problem, but you do it, boom, copyright strike. Anyway, so yeah, I pieced it together, from all the various reactions and clips I've seen. So I won't say that I've watched it, because I don't have the TV license. I don't watch live TV, and I certainly wouldn't pay to watch this rubbish anyway. So I've gotten the gist of it, and I'm because I had to see what on earth triggered Noel so much, and my God, it was enough to give me a brain embolism. Just the clips that I've seen. Infuriating is pretty much where I'm at. He's written the Doctor to be, and the companion, both to be total sociopaths. Absolute sociopaths. We've got, you can tell, like, the reaction from all the gaslighting. I wouldn't be surprised if this Alan character didn't turn out the way he did, because she's such a difficult bloody bugger, and would have got him twisting himself in his own pants to try and please her. That may be like the one or two things that he requested in return were, like, the least amount he could get from her, quite honestly. I mean, she's the one that got him into trouble, Lee, because she was the one. Well, it's his fault. It's his fault.
Just pointed it out in the chat there. Robert's just pointed it out in the chat. If she hadn't basically grashed him up, he wouldn't have then been caught himself to then become the robot AI generator, who then caused the whole big revolution. So her throwing him under the bus is what essentially causes the whole story.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
effect, if that's what I'm grasping from that, then
No, it is. It is exactly
No,
what
she's a
happened. She threw him in.
sociopath.
It's his fault. It's his fault. It is. He's the one that got me, so it's
and I
his
can
fault.
understand her, like, again, not being too happy. At the, I don't blame her for not cracking a smile when all this is happening to her. But even before she gets kidnapped,
But she
in
had no
fairness to
emotions
your
at all.
argument,
She had no emotions
she's
at
very
all.
unprofessional to the patient. She's
She-
quite
she-
rude, or who bit
She
you,
was
or whatever
like,
it was that was about.
or your
Your wife.
I like. Excuse me, like if that happened to me in hospital, right? You would be up before a tribunal before you could sneeze. That was outrageous.
Not
And
very
she-
good bedside manner.
None at all. Like, how the hell are you a nurse? If I was a nurse, I would be suing the BBC for defamation. Quite honestly,
Just like Yasmin Khan, who apparently was a cop.
Yeah, and a stereotype, and she has to be a nurse because she's
well,
white.
we need more
Is
women
that what
in
you're
STEM.
saying?
We need more women
You
in
know?
STEM, because apparently there's not enough.
Yeah, but how very stereotypical of RTD to make the Indian companion a nurse.
Well, yeah,
Like-
but also the demands on the the restrictions of her movements and texting, and apparently that's very Islamic. Apparently, like I was reading up somewhere that the kind of rules he was giving her were quite strict Islamic protocols for a single woman.
Arranged marriage.
And the arranged marriage as well. That's another thing. But
But that was it. That was I was just going to say, like, the whole concept of that being kind of put on a, again, it's kind of creeping in there, Russell. You're not really, if anything, it sounds like you're kind of arguing against your own argument. That's what I would go to. Russell tries to push this message, and the message doesn't even work. Again,
she is a sociopath, right? Her reactions to everything were just so nonchalant, so blasé. Like even when they killed the neighbor's cat, right?
Yeah,
that she's in charge of, that she's responsible for. Oh, you killed the cat.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I mean, like you can tell a person by how they react to cruelty to animals, right?
Yeah.
She
No, I agree.
barely raised an eyelid,
there was no emotion. That's probably one thing I didn't like about her character at all, is that how accepting she was. Oh yeah, just getting kidnapped. I'll tell the neighbour's cat's just died. Like,
yeah, tell the police. Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Well, even when she's in the space, when she does get kidnapped, she's not even acting like a kidnapped victim. She just wants to go and blame poor Alan. She just wants to blame poor Alan.
You'd be trembling. You'd be sat there shaking and terrified and sweating profusely.
He's more bothered about the money, he was it.
Yeah, right. And that joke never came back. Like when she realized that the AI was her boyfriend, she should have said, "You owe me 50 quid."
Yeah, see, that would have been funny. See, that would have been funny, like, but I don't think RTD has a sense of humor when it comes to
it would have worked better than Planet of the Incels, and you manipulated me and you coerced me, all this. No one talks like that. It's so artificial. The writing was
horrible.
The dialogue was so. It was like reading a poster you find in a doctor's waiting room or something.
The writing was clunky.
What was all that about? I seen somebody say something about that. That there was a whole. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong here, but the whole line when he goes "padam padam," is that some kind of a some connection to the kind of gay thing? As someone said that, I don't know what.
It's a Kylie Minogue.
Oh, there we go then.
Because you got to fit in, Kylie references every 5 bloody minutes.
By the way, on the Belinda character, someone did a translation of Queen, whatever her name, and it translates to the Rani. So if anybody, he's probably going to turn Belinda into because more the
might explain her attitude a bit.
Hires. Yeah,
it does make sense because she's a medical person, and as we all know, the Rani was a biologist. So yeah.
So that's what it's hinting towards. I believe it is a rumor that's been going around quite a while though. But someone did do a translation with the Queen and so I think part of her name, and it comes up then in translation, it spells
Well, it
Rani.
makes
But
sense
that
why
guy
she's a
that was digging her
sociopath.
out, that had a problem with Belinda, that was kind of, it was all your fault. Can you remember his name? Because I can't. There was no
No.
character development for any of these sort of so-called freedom fighter rebels.
No, but that
I don't
freedom
remember any of them.
fighter male, the other one
I
that
don't remember
thought
any
he
of
was fucking Rambo, that she just took an instant dislike to. Like,
Well,
he
just
was
I can't remember
playing
his
up
name.
on the toxic stereotype as well. Like, none of the white blokes seem to be nice in this story at all. Like, if you look at it, none of them were nice.
Of
They're
course
all
not.
horrible pieces of shit. But that's the whole point.
Can't
That's
forget a
the
landlord.
message he
He's
wants to
horrible
get
too,
across.
apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, our
And
landlord
the
is horrible.
housemate.
Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't even
horrible.
try.
Stealing his
Oh,
food.
stay in your rooms. They didn't even try and help her.
Was he the landlord or
Unbelievable.
was he a housemate?
I think he was the
I think he was
housemate,
just a
wasn't he?
housemate, but even
All
they
right,
didn't
of
come to help.
course. Right.
Yeah, she don't touch me granola or whatever it was, whatever shit it was she was giving out about. Look, the 2 million views. I hope yous are happy. Especially these. But come here, the usual suspects. Oh, I love Belinda. She's the greatest character in sliced bread. Well, you said that about Yasmin Khan. Like, every character, every companion that doesn't have white skin is the greatest companion since sliced bread to all of these little weirdos in the fandom. And of course, the little weirdos in the fandom lap this up. This is one of the greatest episodes in their opinion. It's up there.
All right. So the same people who go on about kink shaming and not taking the piss out of demisexuals or asexual.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, well, it means like not interested in having sex or whatever. Okay, so you're not allowed.
What, demisexual?
Yeah,
Well,
I think so. You're more into the romance, not the actual physical act or something. I can't remember. Anyway,
Yeah.
but anyway, so you're not allowed to take the piss out of that, but it's okay to take the pee out of incels, inverted commas. It's a bit of a double standard, but I suppose it makes sense because they just hate white people. And a lot of white people hate white people, seemingly because they don't share their politics.
Which
or whatever. It's this weird self-flagellation.
It's like the whole point, like the message, which the big message of this story is about this whole toxic masculinity. But like I said earlier, even Russell can't even get that right because he didn't seem like an incel to me. He just seemed controlling. Didn't seem to hate women. He just seemed like a manipulative.
He was manipulative and controlling because it was contrived to be. It was such a contrivance, the way he spoke. I'm sorry, when you're dealing with a narcissist manipulator, right? They don't go, right, here's a list of rules of things you're not supposed to do or I don't want you to do. They are much cleverer than that.
Exactly.
So
he seemed more insecure, immature.
Yeah.
Which that's what it seemed like to me. Because if you're that insecure, that is, I have to check you for, that kind of behaviour. That seems very insecure to me. And a lack of trust, and he's immature, which you probably would be at that age.
At that age, again, precisely, because if you're
incels,
I feel 20, if you're 20 or whatever, or you're inexperienced in relationships, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to be worried that they're going to leave you. Whatever that, because everyone at that age takes things a lot more seriously.
Exactly.
So it's the most urgent, most important thing ever.
Exactly. I'm not
feel everything 1,000 times more than anyone else.
That's
how it is. So for that, he pays the price with his life. He gets abducted because of her throwing him under the bus. He becomes manipulated. He finds himself a gamer in a world where he can be in control for the first time in his life. And
again, more stereotypes. Again, again, the more like stereotypes just filling into it. Oh, he's a gamer. Oh, he probably lives with his mum. Yeah. He probably is in the bedroom. Oh, he's in the basement. That kind of low-level thinking of it.
They convert him like a Cyberman, but without being a Cyberman. I don't know. They could have made it a Cyberman story, but they did that. And then
There was supposed to be Davros. That was supposed to be Davros, and the robots were supposed to be the Daleks. Believe it or not, that's the rumor going around.
Well, they've quite from the waist down, so he's neutered anyway. So where's this toxic masculinity coming from if he's not producing any testosterone? And I thought disabled people being presented as evil was problematic, but it's okay in this instance. Okay, that again is another example of the utter hypocrisy of these people.
Yeah, it was an offense when it was
it's only a problem when it suits them.
And then to make a joke, to turn him into a sperm in an egg and then be swept up is an abortion joke. Okay,
that's what I said, and people didn't pick up on that. Of course, it was an abortion joke, and it flew over a lot of people's heads. But
if they were over mine, in fairness, I'll grant you that I didn't even notice it as well. But I probably would agree.
I spoke to picked up on that as well, and it could be women who've experienced that themselves, and that's can be not for everyone, but it can be very traumatizing for a woman, and for a gay man to write this as a joke. And then for the doctor to laugh?
Yeah, to laugh after the fact when Polish comes up
with real people. I've seen in real life.
And the sperm up. It's absolutely disgraceful, it was. So we got arranged marriage, we got a cat killed on screen, we got abortion algorithm and male toxicity. That's what we got, a white male toxicity.
Well, the only toxicity, apart from the absolutely contrived boyfriend, was her. She was the most toxic.
I think she was.
Her attitude stank right from the word go. I just think, and she's unbelievable. She's not based in any sort of reality. There's everything in this is so hyper characterized. It's cartoonish.
It's very straw man, isn't it? It's all what he thinks.
It's straw manning. Absolutely, yeah. It is a
it's very a lot of projection. It's all.
Yeah, he was. RTD was trying to make a point.
He thinks is this, or it's what he thinks conservatives are. It's what he thinks.
I think it's very strange for a gay man to hate men so much. It's because you're pandering to the radical left that are in your ear 24/7, Russell. I think you need to kind of take a long, hard look at yourself first before you start condemning the male species that you are part of, by the way. But you're better than everyone else because you think the right way, apparently. It's so. I got such a vibe from this that this was filled with hate, filled with loathing and contempt, and it absolutely shone through. Yeah. And
he didn't hide it, did he?
No, the subtext was writ large.
Yeah.
Subtext is supposed to be a subtle thing that you pick up on as you're going along, but this is like hammered into your face.
Well, that's what article I read. I don't know if did you see the one that was in the Doctor Who TV article, and it was basically why fandom has kind of got toxic or something along those lines, and it was basically kind of made that same point. In classic stories like The Green Death, which again is so overused, it's like Martin Luther King. It's so overquoted. Oh well, the Green Death was this, and the Green Death was that. Okay, the subtext there and the themes there, if you want to look for it, if you want to make the effort, but you can happily sit there and watch it in very, very, very enjoyable Third Doctor story with great action and great story. Whereas this, it's very hard to ignore. It's very hard to ignore the subtext here, isn't it? Yeah. You can't sit there and watch Robot Revolution and ignore the incel and the toxic masculinity comments.
Well, you just can't. Isn't it interesting though? In The Green Death, right? Let's have a look at this one. Okay, so this is woke apparently, yeah. So The Green Death is a story about a giant corporation run by an artificial intelligence that shuts down a mine to bring about a green death. I just think, okay, so doesn't seem very woke to me. Okay, you wanna go there. I think it's quite interesting that it's a giant corporation run by an AI that wants to bring about these giant grubs and wipe out humanity with this green agenda. Seems a bit spot on, actually, but not in the way that they think.
Yeah, too on the nose. I even said a while I was watching that this is way too on the nose, even for Russell. But this is a man, in my opinion, that clearly knows the game is up, and he just doesn't give two fucks anymore. And excuse me, language.
He's got no script editor. and no one dares say no to him, and he's completely left to his own devices.
This might sound like a very stupid question from me, but
Right, go on.
did it feel like, would you characterize this episode as woke? I know that sounds like an instant yes, but like, I hope you can understand where I'm coming from, because it just felt cringe to me. Like,
It is
that element of it.
It is the most wokest thing I think I've ever seen, and I'll tell you why. It's because the mask really slipped.
It did.
And the ugly face of it was glaringly obvious. It didn't take any opportunity at all to hide its contempt and intent to insult its own audience.
I would go one step further, Lee, and say, I don't know if you would agree with me, because we sat through the Whittaker era, but I actually think that this is worse than anything that
so far. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand whether I feel it was done intentionally or just through sheer stupidity.
No, he did it intentionally. This man is bitter.
That's why I'm asking. I know it might sound like an obvious question.
Yeah.
Well,
RTD, unfortunately, is bitter with the world. He doesn't like the fact that Donald Trump was elected in the US. He doesn't like that there's a pushback on the TQ plus agenda all across the world. He, as Lee has said, he's got people in his ear 24/7 that are feeding him all of this stuff, and he obviously believes it himself. But I think, look, we'd be looking at a different man. RTD has had loss in his life. I don't want to bring it up, but it's the truth. And I don't think he's been the same since that loss. And I think he's just become angry and bitter with the world because, you know, things happen to him. But as I said, it does not give him the right then to go and use Doctor Who as a platform to bash everybody else because he's bitter with the world. I would have to say that this is by far agenda-wise and in your face worse than anything that Chibs did. And we were angry during the Chibs era, but this is by far up there. It is. I think he is. It's going to get worse as well, by the way. I think this message that he's trying to push across is going to get more. I mean, by the time we get to the intergalactic episode, if people are still...
It really affects the show as well, because I thought the Doctor was all about celebrating life. And, you know, again, remember when in season 1 when Margaret fell, Fotch or whatever it was an egg and she got to start again. Like, again, someone put in the comments, an embryo and a sperm, that's post-conception, therefore it's alive.
The Doctor struggled with genociding the Daleks.
Yeah. Even though they were so evil.
With that, but a toxic white male, let's laugh at his demise. Oh, he's turned into a sperm and an egg. Oh, he's been swept up.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Even in Tom Baker's era, Genesis of the Daleks, he asked the question, do I have the right? And even in New Who, they've had similar scenes as well, where the Doctor has struggled with a decision that he has to make. The Fires of Pompeii is a perfect example of that. And then Donna helps him make that decision because it's either those creatures, I forget what they're called, the fucking lava giant things. It's either them or the whole galaxy. And he does, you know what I mean? He makes that decision, but he doesn't make it alone.
And
he's certainly not laughing after he's done it either, by the way. So this is just, this is a bitter old man. It's sad to see. Because,
I mean, at least, maybe this is probably no consolation, but I mean, at least he didn't step on it. I mean, at least there was probably nothing he could have done. At least it went polish. I mean, I would have probably been a lot more annoyed if he just stepped on it.
It wouldn't matter if he stepped on it or not. The fact is that he laughed as he was swept up and destroyed.
Yeah,
not like, oh, let's.
He cared more about the butterfly.
Wait. Let's pick him up. Let's try and
give him a second chance at life.
Somewhere. In a woman who can't give birth, let's go and intravenously and give him a new chance at life.
Exactly.
I'm sure there would have been some particular device in the TARDIS that would have been able to help it. You know, I just think as well, in Space Babies, when she accidentally stepped on a butterfly, it was like, oh, it was like, oh no. He cared more about the butterfly, and blew some air
And
onto
an
it, and
actual
give it
human
life,
life. Exactly. And this
I
is
don't know.
what
It's like
that's what's jarring for me.
The woman who
is
was the
the fact-
companion for 6 months that we had no connection to, no, there's no connection with her in the audience at all. So we're supposed to care about her. Doctor cries over her. It's funny, isn't it? Men can die, no one sheds a tear. One woman dies, it's the end of the world. And it's just like the most dehumanizing anti-male thing. And when you consider, the rates of self-harm in terms of taking one's own existence out of the picture is predominantly a massive issue statistically with men.
Well, it's men under 40, isn't it?
Young men.
It doesn't help. This is what I think. Incels are deeply
You
flawed
are making men
people,
feel like they are,
but they're not disgusting
people.
evil that should be ridden from the world. They are very deeply immature men that need guidance.
Yeah, but
they need listening up.
Immature? You know what's deeply immature? RTD. RTD writing this and the people agreeing to it and performing it, and no one saying, I think maybe you've gone a bit too far with this.
See, here's the thing. If you keep bashing young men like we see today in the entertainment industry, you're pushing those young men towards something which we have
it does the opposite. It doesn't help.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't help.
They're not evil scum of the earth. They're just deeply flawed people.
And when a young man like that is growing up and feels like the world is against him, and he feels like he's a worthless piece of shit because he's told he's a worthless piece of shit, bad things happen. And shame on RTD.
And I've noticed as well, and this is a massively deeply rooted problem in our culture currently, that men are being told that they're evil, they're toxic masculinity, they're bad. Have you noticed on the increase in adverts for the British Army to recruit? And what do they show in those adverts? White men, straight white men. It's funny. You want them to fight your wars, but they're not real human people with feelings at all. But you can get them to fight your wars and do all the toxic masculinity stuff when you want them to. If it wasn't for a lot of that masculinity, this country would be in a far worse position. But it's not toxic just because, look, the reason why you get young lads being attracted to people like, that moron, what's his face? That one, the real toxic Andrew Tate, right? So you got people like that. The reason why they're turning to people like that is because of people like you, Russell. Because your propaganda, your hatred has pushed young males away because you've told them for no reason that they are bad, toxic people. They have to be more feminine or more like girls or become girls or whatever. And it's that intolerance which has swept them under the rug and out of sight, and to be berated constantly 24/7 by you and your idiot people.
Well, exactly. If you're growing up and you're told you're deeply flawed, and then you got Starmer wanting adolescents to be shown across schools, which is a bit odd for a BBC show, for BBC to be advocating for an ITV show. When you've got young boys that have been told they're deeply problematic from a young age, is there any wonder why they grow up maybe resenting people?
Isn't it interesting, though, that adolescence doesn't come with a trigger warning, but the Savages DVD animation comes with a trigger warning? I find that absolutely hysterical. Not only that, but the government funded adolescence to be made. Did you know that? It was part funded by the British government.
But I shouldn't be surprised.
And it's a wonder why they want it in every bloody school. And the fact that story is a complete work of fiction, and there they are.
Okay, well, I'd just like to point out that the South Park killer wasn't actually white; he was black.
No, he was a Welsh choir boy. Let's get it right there, Noel. He was a Welsh choir boy, according to.
No, he was black, and the fact of the matter is that I'm going to say it out straight. Listen, right? Diversity and inclusion does not work, right? If you're allowing people to come here and then they have kids. If they're not compatible with your way of life and the way you do things in your country, they shouldn't be allowed to come in. And a lot of these people aren't compatible with our moral compass or the way we do things. And they're trying to force it on us, and it's not working. You just have to look at the United States. It's the perfect fucking example that it doesn't fucking work. Look how long the shit show has been going on over in that country with the different races and the different diversity. Is America at peace? No, it's not. It's always something going on in that country. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it never will.
If your ideology insists upon placing one group of people over another,
exactly,
and then complaining that the other side have been doing this, and then you go and do the exact same thing you accuse the other side of doing, how does that make you any better? It doesn't.
Fighting racism with racism. It's very clever, isn't it?
It's really fucking not. And it's just how conceited it is, you know, how absolutely morally bankrupt they are.
They're doing a lot of damage to these people, like RTD. Yeah, he's not the only one, but they're doing a lot of damage to these people. They don't actually realise how much damage.
They
do they though? Well, I mean, maybe RTD does, but do they all realise? Because you know, some will follow the party line no matter what. Do you know what I mean? Because they're just blinded by stupidity.
Well, where's representation of Jews in Doctor? I've never seen one apart from when we had Maureen Lipman, but she wasn't an explicitly Jewish character. Where's that representation? Oh wait, silence, crickets. Okay. So,
well, that line made itself known in the episode, isn't that? The word represent. What was it? I'm having a moment. Reparations. That word was mentioned in the episode at the end, wasn't it? That was
reparations.
Where's my reparations?
Yeah, he stuck that in
for my ancestors being, put through what they weren't put through in Auschwitz. Do you know what? Even if I was offered it, I have enough self-respect to say no. I don't want your blood money. Thank you.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
And I think that, you know, it's people who've got a grievance who have never experienced it. How the hell, right? Shuti Gatwa and this Varade Setu, are they anywhere oppressed? You are on a TV
in a privileged position,
on prime time on BBC TV, paid a fortune. I've smoke blown up your ass 24/7. Busted everywhere. You've had every ample opportunity handed to you.
Yeah.
And there are many of us out there who don't, and who work and struggle on a daily basis, who don't have those privileges, and they are.
I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and do 8 till 3, 4 days a week, voluntary.
RTD let himself slip ages ago in that interview during the writer's strike, when he said, "Oh, it'd be a shame for all these talented people to end up selling shoes."
Oh, like, the horror.
What the fuck is wrong with selling shoes? You need to buy shoes. I'm sure you wear shoes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's this kind of elitist attitude. Oh, well, you know, I'm a creative person. I understand.
He's belittling people as well. You could see it in the writing.
What a shame that Russell can't express his talent and has to serve work at Costa's instead.
Tell you what, it should be bloody, I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him with a latte. I'm telling you.
Listen, never be. I would never. Right, it doesn't matter what job you do. You're contributing to society in a positive way, and you're doing something that makes you happy. It doesn't matter what your job is. Right, I've done different types of jobs. I've gone from being a professional chef to being a DJ to being a security guard to even fucking working in a supermarket at 6 o'clock in the morning, going in cleaning fucking floors. Right, and I never ever had the attitude that any of these jobs were above me or below. I just did what I had to fucking do to survive, and you know what? All of those jobs that I've mentioned, I enjoyed them all. Different experiences as well. But you are right, there is this elitist attitude with RTD and his gang of fucking simps. Well, you know, they seem to look down on people all the time, and this episode definitely does look down on people. This is why I was so angry, and I don't think people got why I was so angry watching it, because I could see it. This is not like Chibnall's. Chibnall was sometimes on the nose with certain things, but there was a lot of subtlety as well, right? And it was only after a second viewing of the episode I pick up on things. But I picked up on everything straight away in this episode because it was so blatantly in your face. This is a man that seriously does not care about Doctor Who. He's just using it because he's got all that money and he knows it's on Disney Plus. And yeah, maybe it's not being viewed as much as he likes, but he knows it's being viewed by people out there, some anyway, and he can get his message across.
A lot of the time with Russell, it's a lot more malicious as well than Chibnall.
I've thought for a long time, actually, that Russell T Davies has never been a huge fan of this show originally. I think he loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
I think he is someone who is embarrassed of that fact. And when he wanted to bring it back, it was a cash cow for him. But even though it was a risk, admittedly, but it was a cash cow for him if it took off. But it was also something that he could mold into his own image and therefore not be embarrassed of it. That's why he went to such great lengths to change so much about it, to make it more modern for the modern audience. Yeah, it did work to a point, but it does belie a certain betrayal of the original run.
It does.
And you see that from the way that they talk about Classic Who in very derogatory terms constantly, I may add. And it's like, I just see, I've spoken to people who've been in this fandom for a number of years, and none of them remember Russell T Davies. None of the conventions and things. Show us, Russell. Show us where you were. Show us you back when you were a teenager with, posing with whatever, the autographs and all that. Let's see it.
Chibs did. It's at least Chibs was a fan.
People knew him, and they said he was an arsehole. So.
At least Chibnall has the receipts. In fairness to him, at least he was on that stage. We've never seen that with Russell, though, have we? So that's a good point. And it's just things like, when you go on Russell's Instagram, 99% of the stuff he posts is just pictures of him, which is telling.
Look at that Dalek that someone gave him. Someone gave him a beautiful Dalek, and what does he do? He leaves it in his garden to rot.
Like, again, it's his account. A lot of the stuff is going to be him, but it's almost constant. Every picture, him. I mean, he's even got a painting or a picture of himself in his own house.
Oh, by the way, just talking, or just briefly cutting away for just a second. It was Peter Davison and Peter Capaldi's birthday recently. So to me, two doctors, because obviously, Peter Davison's doctor was obviously around when I start watching Doctor Who. So he was my proper first doctor, even though I'd seen Pyramids of Mars with Tom Baker, because through me dad, obviously. But it was Peter Davison's birthday, 70, he was 74, I think he is. And Peter Capaldi as well's birthday today. So I want to wish those two doctors very happy birthday. I love Peter Capaldi, and I've always had a soft spot for Peter Davison anyway. I know everybody didn't,
he was my first full season doctor. Well, no, fourth doctor. His last two seasons were the ones I grew up. So I only had 2 seasons of Tom Baker, but even though I was traumatized forever after Peter Davison took over, I did grow to love him as a doctor and love his stories. And I used to.
It was like everyone's.
I loved him in All Creatures Great and Small as well. Peter Davison, when he left, didn't he do All Creatures Great and Small? Because I used to love that show as well. That was heartbreaking, that show, but I loved it. I loved Peter Davison. I have a soft spot for him. His stories. Yeah, some of his stories are not.
I like. He seems to be the most based out of.
Yeah. He's not getting. He's very. Do you know what I have to say?
What the hell happened with your daughter, man? Like, how did
having met him that day.
Is the same as well. I think Matt Smith is the same as well. They haven't really gotten themselves. Even Peter Capaldi they haven't gotten themselves into controversy or jumped on any bandwagons like the rest of them have. I mean, Tennant is probably the worst for jumping on bandwagons nowadays. I mean, my estimation of him has gone completely now. I
Eccleston can
detest
be
that man.
mildly political on his Instagram, but he doesn't
He's
come out with big
awful.
sweeping
Yeah.
statements. Trying to lecture us all in an article, in the Guardian or whatever. But he'll thingy some socialist. Again, you kind of get it in Manchester, working class. Okay, whatever. Thatcher. Again, he's that product of his time, so you can get it on his personal page, whatever. But, again,
yeah, he's not lecturing fans though.
Exactly.
Well, whilst we're here, I just want to say to Melon Rattler, you've been savage. I've been laughing my ass off watching your videos. So funny. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm interested in that whole sequel to Midnight, and I'm kind of scared about it because that's it's my second favorite Doctor Who story of all time.
I got to be honest, right? David Tennant has his first run as the Doctor. He has a lot of great stories. But Midnight, for me, is up there as one of the best episodes that he's done. I mean, it's scary as well, proper scary. Like,
so I heard
think about
before the episode came out, there was that rumor that they were going to do a sequel to it, and then in the sort of, and then Doctor Who Unleashed, even Russell himself has said there's going to be a sequel to something. So I'm like, well, how are you going to do a sequel to Midnight, which didn't really need one?
It doesn't need
in 2025. Again, if you can't explain it, because then you ruin the whole episode if you explain it. The whole point is that we're not supposed to know. As much as you kind of left thinking, oh, what was it? That's the best bit about it, is that you left thinking, what was it? We don't actually want to know.
The episode, yeah, you don't want to know. But that's the thing, you don't want to know. It's like when they did the whole with the, and I'm going off topic to a different franchise here. It's like when they tried to explore the origins of Alien. Right,
well, even the Weeping Angels, they did it with the Weeping Angels. They went a little bit too much into their abilities and what they could do, and
everything Russell seems to be doing is almost as if it's consciously decided, to undermine everything
that he's done
and good that he's done. Like, look at how he did Donna, in Justice. He turned her from a lovable companion that we all adored into this child abusing crazy mother who wants to trans her 15-year-old, minor son, and turn into this insufferable.
Yeah, she wasn't good the second time round. Donna's character that fucking broke my heart.
Midnight, he wants to, everyone
broke me heart, man.
I mean,
Because
there's not many RTD scripts that you can praise, really. Let's be honest. But Midnight seems to be one of those, and
because
he wants to now, deconstruct that by the sounds.
I love Donna because Donna was in your face. She put the Doctor in her place the right way, but she, when she got the full series in Series 4, she was just brilliant. I mean, the Fires of Pompeii is probably one of our best second episodes, but you just grew to love her. But I loved her from The Runaway Bride. I know some people didn't like her until she actually came into Series 4. They thought she was too in your face. But I've always loved Donna, and I loved that whole family unit that they created around that. But brought her back, and they just ruined her. She's not, not the same character at all. The character is completely different. And imagine, giving the Doctor a lecture on not giving alien pronoun, not identifying an alien by pronouns and all. What the? Like, come on.
And then just chastising him at the end. I mean, I can't. I saw that clip again and thought, wow, that was real.
Well, look at this current story, alleged story. The so-called Doctor constantly in the background, and Belinda's right up front in the camera all the time, and he's on the side or at the back, and she's taking all the credit. She somehow knows what to do in an alien planet, in an alien environment, and she's on it. And it's so nonsense. It's melodrama and comedy, but not comedy that's meant to be comedy. It seems to me more like unintentional comedy, frankly. It just doesn't make any sort of narrative sense. there's the character development is
it's
non-existent.
awful.
It's immaterial
There was
because
There
it's
is-
so
But
vapid.
is there character development with? There was no character development with her.
No,
Like, what
she
do
was
we
a cow
actually
from the
know?
beginning and a cow at the end. I'm sorry, but that's it. That's her entire persona. Is this kind of one note. Ugh, God.
Well, there's no
Get me
other
home.
characters really. You've got the Doctor, you've got Belinda, you've got a few robots, you've got the alleged in air quotes here incel, and you've got again these rebel freedom fighters who I can't even remember the names of, who were just sort of there as extras with shooting guns for one sequence, or pew pew, and then that was it. And then one of them's a little bit moody with her.
And I swear to God,
And
like,
that's it. That's it. There's no characters really.
speaking of misogyny, right? This great big evil in the world. Why is a man referring to his female companion as babes and honey?
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that misogyny? Is that what we're taught? If a straight guy said that, hey honey, hey babes, they'd be in chains and dragged through the streets and had tomatoes pelted at them. But it's
Again,
fine when he does
The
it.
stereotype of
Oh God! And then that bloody leg kick and that Slay Queen. Like, this is the same Russell who, what is it, in 2004, or whatever, 2003, whenever it was in an interview, and the interviewer asked, "Are you going to write the Doctor as a gay character?" And I think the response from Russell T Davies was, "Don't be ridiculous," and he was quite angered at that. And here we are in 2025 with the most stereotypical characterization of a gay man since Mr. Humphreys. You know, and I'm sorry, how could you be so woke that you tied yourself into a knot and produced something that is incredibly on the nose? You fetishized a young gay black man and put him on steroids to be the campest he could possibly get. In an almost offensive way. It's like, I don't want to be associated with that kind of homosexuality where it's just so in your face, slay queen, leg kick. I mean, that is over the top. It's ridiculous.
It's a far cry from what he was before when he was writing Queer as Folk, where you had, was it Vincent, who was just a guy who worked in a supermarket who liked to go home and stick on Doctor Who. Like, it was just a normal bloke. I thought that was kind of the whole point of that. That, you know, gay people weren't just, again, the stereotype, the over the top, the constant colourful, you know, the kicking and the constant over the topness of the shootiness.
I find it very distasteful.
You know, it's like, you do realise, Russell, you know, as a gay man, surely we'd know not all gay people behave like that.
As this overbearing white gay man in his 60s fetishizing a black effeminate caricature of a gay man in that way, I find that kind of a bit distasteful. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I just think, really, is that where we're at? Is this what we're celebrating? He has to be so overt and so unlikably. I've known very camp gay men over the years from all the various gay clubs and stuff since the 90s, right? I know the type, right? It's so in your face, over the top. It's fun in clubs to a point, but when you're presenting this as your main hero on TV, where he's completely
when that's your main personality,
the other time, and then just exuberant over the top every other time.
Yeah,
it's portraying gay men as if they're just emotionally disturbed, having fits of episodes of mania from one extreme to the other. It's so jarring, and it's like, this is not helping the fight against homophobia. You're actually increasing that. You're making it worse. I suppose
that goes to Noel's point, though, doesn't it? You know, do you actually really realise what he's doing?
Yeah,
because he seems to think he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't seem to be aware of the consequences of what he's actually doing here. Because again, he's doing the opposite, and it's fans as well. In the third episode, he's got like a sort of tight spaceship costume, because Shooty is a very well endowed
Being
in the
fetishized.
trunk, and the
Yeah, ever
all the
since the
comments were.
underwear, when he
All the
regenerates
people
his
like
life
Tharius
generating
were
his
all these little comments about his ass. Oh, but
yeah,
if we ever
you're
dared say anything,
sexualizing him.
if we dared say anything about Geordie,
Okay,
or again, I remember that
yeah.
tweet actually. Of
Do
there
that
was
to
it was a
Jodie Whittaker.
concept art that a fan made, and it wasn't overly sexual, but it was more feminine. It was more dress. It was more like lipstick. It wasn't showing
Yeah,
loads of
I
flesh.
remember that.
It was just a
Yeah.
concept image, and it was of Geordie, and as a potential kind of just a mock-up costume. It wasn't anything slutty. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a slightly more feminine outfit.
And they
Oh,
flipped.
that got slandered. That was ripped to pieces. Oh, but
So you
shoot, you
can't
can go around with his
sexualize her,
like,
yeah, but you can
clothes and
sexualize this gay black man. And usually, like in that Rogue episode written by two women who clearly got off on seeing just writing two men
But then
kissing.
they just say, oh, it would be a problem because Chibnall's a white man sexualizing a female character, and if it's a gay man sexualizing a gay man. That's probably what they would say, though, isn't it? That would be their argument.
Yeah,
He can do it because he's also
they're never
gay.
consistent because it's whatever rules they make up on that day, and you have to
Yeah.
abide by it.
Just
Exactly.
make the rules
when
up as
they
they go
do-
along.
When they do something worse, actually worse, they don't acknowledge that they are in the wrong because it's one rule for them, one rule for us, and they keep changing it on the the pin of a head, the head of a pin.
Do you remember that video I did? I did a video, Jordan, the Jodie Whittaker era. Bad Wolf 66 had done a couple of pictures for me. Do you remember where there was a whole love story where I was going to marry Jodie Whittaker and all of this, and I whacked her up, and they absolutely
Wasn't that an
lost
April
her.
Fool's or something?
Yeah, it was for April Fool, but absolutely lost her shit over that. Right, I can guarantee, and now look where we are now with the whole shooting. Listen, this is I'm not messing, right? For a family TV show, it's disgusting, right? It has no place in Doctor Who. I don't know if people will agree with me there, but I don't think you should be using, as you said, a black gay man and sexualizing him like that. I think that's wrong.
You have to be honest about gay culture. You have to be honest about it and not present it as this amazing, best thing ever, and it's all fucking rainbows and unicorn farts or whatever. No. Amongst the gay community, and this is a fact, okay? And I'm speaking as a gay man, so shut up.
Yeah, before anybody has a go.
The rates of sexually transmitted diseases, including syphilis, are off the charts in the UK. They are rampant. You are encouraging sexual behavior to young people who are inexperienced, who might be confused and very vulnerable, and you're kind of funneling them into this culture without a second thought, without even thinking of the consequences and where that could lead. Okay. And I just don't think, until I say our community, which there isn't such a thing, because I don't live in a gated community where it's just all gay people who know each other, know each other's names, and wave at each other, and walking their poodles, right? It's not like that. It's no such thing as a community. Okay, we don't live in the same bloody housing estate. It's a nonsense. It's a canard, and it's a lie that we tell ourselves. Okay, but I will say that until the gay community grows the fuck up and stops being so rebelliously loose, let's put it that way, you're not going to be taken serious. Yeah, look, do what you want by all means, but when you mainstream this, I always preferred it when gay culture was a subculture. You go to your nightclubs, you hang out with your friends, whatever, and it was fine.
I think you said that before, back when it was kind of cool. Now it's so open, it's lost its kind of maybe the meaning of it.
Now you see pride bloody flags on Barclays Bank. I don't want all that. I don't want to see
full-grown men walking naked in the street. As I know Rabbi often shows that video
with all the flags hanging like bunting. It's like a Yahtzee rally. I don't want all that. It's when you start making it so mainstream, it becomes boring. I find it boring.
Because it wasn't what people have fought and in some cases died for, was it? You know,
No,
to think
no.
about
Look,
all the
we
gay
wanted.
people that were again,
Well, you see,
like
this
you've
is
heard when we've
this
heard
is
the word, you know, the queer word was the last thing a lot of people heard,
yeah.
and
This is
I don't think
when
they
they
didn't
brought that
die
in.
to
Yeah, but
have again,
it
like you
was a
say,
Q.
Barclays have
It
it
was a
on
Q
it.
word people. It was a Q word people that brought all this in, because back in the 80s and 90s, perhaps even before, there was a radical element that wanted to make sure that there was no such thing as gay marriage, because they thought if gay people had marriage, that would stop them having their Q word revolution. This is a thing. This is something that actually happened, people. I want you to understand this. And now they seem to be, okay, we've got the gay marriage. What do we do now? So you've allowed these militant elements to come in and colonize, funnily enough, the movement, as such as it was, and turn it into something else, a very corporate thing. It's one based on pressure. It's one based on it's a confidence trick. You know, people go in, charge £100,000 for a diversity training course. I don't want it, thank you. Well, if you don't accept it, then we'll badmouth you on Twitter and get you cancelled. So of course they pay it. This is how it happened. It was a con. And then you have these revolutionary types taking over and pushing the Q word thing and the TQ plus and all the rest of it. And it mainstreamed it because you've got very powerful people with a lot of money who are on board with that. It's all about social engineering. And it's not coming from individuals like me or other people like that. It's simply without any democratic vote. I never voted for any of this. I never asked for any of this. But it's been mainstreamed to the point of it being boring. And you're using over sexualization as a representation of this is the Q life now.
See, I can
No,
actually understand perfectly
don't want that.
how you feel about that, because again, it's the same sort of thing as whenever there's a slightly oddball, quirky character. Oh well, Sherlock must be autistic then because he's a bit out there, isn't he? Oh, the 11th Doctor. Oh, he's autistic. Like, no,
It's a lot of projection. A lot.
Yeah,
of projection.
and it's like again, it's just any sort of slightly, you know, someone who lacks social skills yet remains intelligent in maybe some other areas. Oh, well, they must be autistic then. Any sort of character like that on screen, Sherlock, Doctor Who, oh, so autistic.
I don't want to see myself on screen. If I wanted to see myself on screen, I'd become an actor and go and be on screen. I don't need to see someone speaking for me and over me and presenting a distorted picture of what it is I'm supposed to be like. No, you don't do that. You don't say, oh, well, this is inclusion, this is diversity, this is representation. I don't want that kind of representation. I'd rather be excluded, frankly.
Yeah, but you know what actually makes me laugh is the fact that you'll get straight people in this fandom tell a gay man like yourself, you're homophobe. Why aren't you supporting her? This, that, and the other. Like, should you not be listening to the people that actually experienced all the hate and all of the shit and all of the stuff that they have
what they always say. It's whenever if there's ever someone who's black who comes out against the Democrats, they'll say, "Oh, what you try to suck up to the white people." So they'll say that about Lay. They'll say, "Oh, well, you just try to be friends with the straights. You just try to do this." Really,
it doesn't matter.
You don't actually think that.
It doesn't matter if you're black or gay or trans or any of those things, unless you agree with their politics. You can be black, gay, trans, whatever, and not on board with the politics, and all of a sudden it's a green light for them to attack you.
Yeah, so someone like Thomas Sowell gets his black. He's not black. His blackness is gone. He's not black. He's not really black. You know what Thomas Sowell, and he thinks
that is incredibly racist. You know, and
exactly
they don't see it when they're doing it. It's like I've been called all manner of horrible things, homophobic things, you know, anti-Semitic things, all kinds of things, because I don't toe the line. And these anti-racists and anti-homophobia and all that come out and say the most homophobic, the most anti-Semitic, the most racist, the most whatever things you can imagine.
It must boil your blood though when you have when you were on Twitter and you was engaging these people, and then you'd have some stupid 18, 20-year-old kid who
knows better
has
than
only got
me,
his
who's lived
he's
life.
got his benefits, or not his benefits, but he's got his privileges of being able to live in this society because people of your generation fought for him to have those same
Oh
rights
no,
that
they
you
had to
campaigned
stand
for.
for it for Lee's generation.
Do you
Lee's
see what I mean? Like
generation.
you'd have some kid, like maybe my age, who will call Lee the bigger because he might go against the grain, without realizing the fact that people of Lee's age and his generation give
What?
that young kid to really be so overtly Q-word, if you want to go down that route, if that makes sense. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just find it incredibly manipulative. And because they don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about, they just repeat whatever the current thing is. It's like when you hear from the river to the sea. You ask these people, well, what river, what sea? They don't have a clue. It's the same thing with everything else, woke. You could
Didn't even
ask
know
them,
there was a river there 5 minutes ago.
go into the weeds with these people when they're not smoking it, and actually go, okay, tell me why, explain, and they can't.
No, they haven't got a clue.
They have an emotional response to everything because logic eludes them. And it's that will be the downfall. It's the fact that they're so emotionally unhinged and quite violent with it that they use group intimidation to try and silence an individual. And I find that is tyrannical. It's overtly tyrannical.
It's a
And
constant battle between
this is how
logical
extremism arises.
politics and emotional politics. So that's what it comes down to. It's like when people say you can't argue with stupid. You can't argue with someone who's, well, you can try and maybe you could get somewhere, but when you got people who are you sort of fighting from emotion rather than what's
Yeah, and you
actually
see
true
that, and you
and
see that in
logical.
Russell T Davis's writing. He's become so radicalized. His
Yeah,
intelligence is dropped by factors of I don't know what. But
he has no intelligence. I'll say
his
he's a dope.
emotions have taken over, and his logic senses seem to have been cut off.
Gone out the window. Yeah.
Yeah,
He went over to America and he drank the Kool-Aid, and he
Oh,
hasn't
God,
been
yeah.
the same since, man.
Absolutely.
We're wrapping up in a
Absolutely.
couple of minutes, so I'll let you get because I have to wrap up. Like I'm
Yeah,
supposed
viewing
to be out
habits
of here.
have changed because everything on the BBC and on the mainstream is crap, right? To say, oh, because there's more streaming, yeah, well,
Oh, don't mind him.
that's nonsense. Okay?
Listen, don't mind that whole TV habits thing has changed. Yeah, the TV habits have changed, but if you're telling me that getting 2 million in the overnights is a success today, it's not. It's not. This
Well,
show
it's like
should
I
be
said, we've had
Doctor Who
BBC iPlayer has been around for 17 years, and again, the technology to like skyboxes. Oh, record that for me. I want to watch it later. This is old technology. This isn't anything new. This isn't like streaming just became a new thing,
No,
or iPlayer became a new thing in 2018 when Geordie
and
came in.
you know
That
the
notion has
huge
always been
numbers,
around.
the huge
Oh, and it's
numbers that
they pick
Doctor
and
Who.
choose when they pick and choose when it's convenient as well. Because when Gavin and Stacey, now yeah, I get it. It's a one-off. We haven't had an episode of that for a long time, but still, it's relevant. The fact that could get 20 odd million, and Line of Duty, the last episode of that was 2021. That wasn't that long ago. That was getting pretty high ratings,
Yeah,
and
it's
that was
coming
a
back as
BBC
well.
drama on BBC One. So again, or for some show it works, and for some other shows, because that's what someone tried to argue with me a couple of days ago. Oh well, Gavin and Stacey's a one-time opportunity,
No,
one-time thing, whereas Doctor Who can be watched at any time. Well, that's not how it works. End of the
no.
day, yes, again, like I say, Gavin and Stacey hasn't been on for a couple of years. They did a sort of one more special as a one-off last time round, but again, still the point remains that episode got 20 on overnights.
Do you remember
Doctor Who could blush at those numbers.
Do you remember David Dickinson? He used to do that antique show.
Yeah, the antique show. Yeah,
guy. He looked like he was straight out the 1970s.
yeah.
Well, what did he used to say? He said, "Quality always sells."
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's as true today as it was then. And the fact is, Doctor Who is shit now. It's not even Doctor Who, and that's why people are not watching it. They're tired of being lectured at. They're tired of being told that they're evil. They're tired of being felt like they're being contemptuous towards them. They're tired of the BBC's elitist attitude and anti-British, anti-white male, anti-straight, anti all these other things. It's just so overt, and people are just sick and tired of it. People want entertainment and to escape from their
They
Right,
lack,
let's
they
rate
lack
this.
objectivity because, again, like I say, I'm the
I have
one
to
that
wrap,
still.
boys. I really have.
Go on,
I'd
man.
love to. I have to wrap this shit up. I swear we've gone off on a tangent anyway for the last hour, but
But it does.
I want to.
It does all relate. It does fit in.
No, it does. That's what I'm saying. It is connected. It is connected because that's what he's doing with the story.
No,
But
Mr.
I've
TARDIS,
got.
Mr. Turgid, you're wrong. It's got nothing to do with that. It's because it's shit, and you've supported this shit to continue. You've blown smoke up the asses of the Chibnall.
They claim it's
Russell Davies.
underfunded as well, don't they? Underfunded by who?
Yeah, bullshit. You are responsible, Mr. Turgid. You and your ilk. who
Yeah,
have
I've been
supported this
calling a few of them out.
unquestioningly, who've supported this unquestioningly,
Yeah,
even though we've been the canaries in the coal mine the whole time saying, you carry on like this, it's going to go to shit. And what happened?
it's gone to shit.
Blame anyone but yourself.
Which is ourselves. Look in the mirror, as I kept saying. I've gotten stick because I've called a few of the little sellouts out.
Yes,
But
it
listen,
was
lads,
hard,
let's
it's not gonna get
try and give this a rating out of 10. Everybody in the chat, give us your rating if you've watched this episode, okay? And I'll pop it up on screen. But I'll start with you, Cinnamon. What would you rate this shit show first episode out of 10?
Well, before the stream, I would have said about a 6.5. It's now dropped to about 3.5 because this feels a bit like a sort of change my mind session. I've thought about it, but coming on this and talking about it and hearing both your points has really concentrated my mind and changed my opinion. I still think some things and I still agree with some things that I said before, but again, you can't deny that, again, the agenda is there and everything we've just spoken about for the past 2 hours adds up and it's all there, like Lee said. And the difference is they lack objectivity. I don't. I'm able to sit there and say that I do like elements of the 15th Doctor and I won't lie. But I can sit there and objectively say that, yes, I am the exception to that rule. And I can clearly, with an open mind, look around and see the glaring issues that are clearly here. That's what separates me from them. Because, again, they can't say that. They can't sit there and say, oh, well, I like Jodie. I know she's not popular, but I liked her. Some might, with actual head on their shoulders, but they don't.
But there is help available.
They will say, no, I like her and she's the best. No, Shooty is the best thing since sliced bread. There's no objectivity there. There's no, well, all right, well, I like it. I know it's not really popular. I'll happily say that I prefer Iron Man 2 to Iron Man 1. You won't hear many other people say that, but I objectively recognise that most people would consider the first one better. And I get that.
Well, you know I prefer New Who. If people are too stupid to realise they're being insulted, let them have it.
I would prefer. My favourite Doctor Who was 2005 to 2010, and I include Matt Smith's first season. But I would still say, objectively, Classic Who is better. That is the definitive Doctor Who.
So you're giving this episode a 3 out of 5. Oh, 3.
Yeah, it was higher, and now it's even lowered.
Right. Yeah. Melon Rattler, I have to read this out. He says 10 out of 10 pure cinema. Taking the piss.
You sound like me last year.
Bobby has also changed his mind because Bobby actually thought this episode was great, but he's watched it again, he said. And now for him, he's given it a 3 as well.
Well, I blame Lee. It's his fault. He's concentrated my mind.
It's going to get worse.
3 out of 10 again from Daleks.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to the next one. The next one, I will say, the next one is the one I was looking forward to. Because that one's the one with the cartoon, and that was the one that I was actually talking up the most. And I quite like the look of that one out of all the ones I've seen. So I'm preparing myself not to be let me down, because I'd imagine that's going to be probably a bit of a disappointment, and I hope it's not. But
what were you giving this shit show? What would you give it out of 10?
Propaganda is the death of art. There is no artistic merit to any of this at all, whatsoever. It's not Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. I hate this. So it's not the same thing. So 0. If I would only give a point for the creative team who have made it at least look beautiful.
Yeah.
Apart from like the urine color filter was weird.
Yeah.
But everything else, no.
But again, what does that matter? Because again, I would agree. This is the best Doctor Who has ever looked. But when I'd rather sit there and watch The 10th Planet, something that came out 50 odd years ago, because that was a better story. What does that say? Eh? Like, do you know what I mean? We're supposed to be.
Listen, someone said Beth, the Time Lady gave it a 10 out. Listen, something about Beth, right? That Time Lady. Don't be listening to Aunt that comes out of her mouth. She's the one that killed Big Finish as well with all
Yeah,
that.
because she's totally objective.
Writing for Big
What was I
Finish.
just talking about, eh?
Right. For me, right, I've thought about this long and hard over the weekend. For me, this is a 0. I can't even give it a 1 for the people that work behind the scenes. All I'll just say is that the people that worked on these couple of seasons, I will say I feel sorry for you that you are probably going to lose your jobs or have lost your jobs thanks to this fucking moron. But this isn't worth rating as far this episode anyway isn't. I'm not saying I'm not going to give any of them a rating because maybe Saturday's episode, it is an interesting concept. I don't think we should have cartoony shit in Doctor Who, but I'll roll with it and see what happens. I might actually give that a rating, but I'm not giving this one a rating. I can't. It just made me so angry. Everything was in your face, and if you haven't seen my live reaction to it, go and get, because I the moments that it's in your face, I call it out there and then. Whereas before, as I said, with Chris Chibnall, he could be subtle. Sometimes it was in your face, but he was subtle, and you'd have to probably watch the episode a sec. But this, you don't even need to watch.
It wasn't
this
as malicious, was it, with Chibnall? Again, as stupid as his episodes were, you do feel like, and this is my position, I do believe the quality of the scripts have improved somewhat, but the messaging in some cases has got even stronger because Russell is more malicious, he's more outspoken about it. Chibnall, he'd infest in the episode, but he was quite quiet behind the scenes, almost too quiet. Whereas again, with Russell, it's raging. It's like raging bitterness that is just screaming at you. And again, when he sits there and moans about, "Oh, what a shame, eh? Oh, this talent going to waste. Oh, but we want you to foot the bill so I can lecture you." That's just how this transaction works. Because again, you can't criticize Russell. You can't stand up to him. He wants us to foot the bill for him and keep him in a job and keep Doctor Who going. Because again, what a terrible waste it would be if he was in Starbucks. Because then he can't lecture us, can he? And that's the two greatest things of all.
Listen, the way this has gone, it's continued the downward spiral.
And we don't get Juno groomed horses.
I'm telling you now, this is going under 2 million. We've always said, will it ever go under 2 million? I think it is about this season. At some point, one of these episodes is going to go under 2 million. That's how bad it is. But look, we're 10 minutes over, and I'm going to get into trouble now because I'm on a strict schedule. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm not getting into details, but I have to wrap it up now. So do use our shout out, lads, and then I'll just say what I need to say at the end there. So Cinnamon, you go first. Do your social media stuff.
Yeah, it's all the same name, Cinnamon Toast Crunch on X, and you call it Twitter again. Still fall for that. And on YouTube, or I probably will do my own in-depth review, which will be quite a lot different than it was before. So there's that. So yeah, check it out if you want to.
Lee, do you want to call out your socials?
Nah,
he doesn't want to do socials, but he's not where he is anyway. But listen, I might be back on Friday. Now, I'm still doing my little videos throughout the week and all of that, and if anything pops up, I probably will do a live stream here and there. But I probably will be back on Friday because Ballstreck might be coming on, and then might have Jack on it as well, and maybe Lee back on again on Friday. I do know that Ballstreck can only come on Friday, so I know you have probably all watched his reaction to his review to it. If you haven't, go over to his channel and watch it now. It's quite funny, but he actually is on point with every criticism that he makes. Listen, I'm not going to sit here now and slag people off for liking this. We already know that most of the people that are watching this are half-wits and lack the intelligence to understand what Doctor Who is. So it's not their fault, really. You
Well,
know
most
what
of
I
the
mean?
fans are not watching it anyway.
Yeah, the fans have actually walked away, and so has the British public. And even during the episode, as it was live on BBC, they walked away during the episode, which was fantastic. It actually dipped. It actually dipped under 2 million. But look, I will be probably back on Friday, the day before the second episode, with a couple of more guests, maybe just having a general chat about the episode, and then obviously it does skew into other things because, as Lee has rightly pointed out, it does all connect. This is the thing; it's all connected, and
A web of lies.
it's just I just honestly have to say I didn't think I would ever get this angry again over Doctor Who. I swore I wouldn't, but
It means you still
this was
care.
just so on the I do, and I hate myself for that. But that's the
Yeah,
thing.
well, if you hate it so much,
I
then stop
need
watching.
no, because I can't.
Yeah,
Because
well,
this is what a fan being a fan is. Look, as I said, I hate RTD, and I've said it plenty of times. I might hate the man right now, and think that he's absolutely put the final nail in the coffin. But he did save my life, and he did bring Doctor Who back at a very important part, a very important time in my life where I didn't want to be around anymore. And it was only for him bringing that show back, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So this is why this is hard for me. And it is. People think it's easy for me to get on here and criticize this show every fucking season. It's not. It's heartbreaking for me. All I've ever wanted is for the people that are running this show to do right by it, right? And another thing as well is that there's some fans that are still hanging around, right? You need to get with reality now, right? You have dropped your standards, and you need to stop dropping these standards, right? This isn't Doctor Who at all, and it's an absolute disgrace that this shit show is being called Doctor Who, right? It's ruining. It has ruined it for people. We've got Daniel in the chat there that can't even stand to watch New Who anymore because that's how turned off he and disillusioned he's become. And there are plenty of more fans like him that are like that have just walked away and turned their back on this, and they never thought they'd walk away and turn their backs on it. And shame on Chibs, man. Shame on RTD, and shame on every single one of you little simps that have supported the destruction of this show. Lee is right, and I've said it plenty of times on here. Look in the mirror at yourselves, right? Because instead of actually calling all of this bullshit out when you've had the opportunity, you've kept your mouth shut for your premieres and for your little gifts and all of this shite, right?
And they call you the grifter.
Yeah,
And they call you
instead
the
of doing
grifter.
the right thing by this show, which was to call it out. And you know what? The one thing I will say is I'm proud of myself that I stuck to me fucking principles and stuck to me ideals all the way through this fucking shit show, and I didn't compromise them for once, 1 second, for anything, for any reward or anything like that. Right? That's what I'm proud of, and I'll stick to that, and I'll always be true to myself. Right? Or listen, this ends, I reckon, right after this season. We might get a hiatus, which will be the best thing for it. But listen, on Friday, actually, if Lee does come back on and Jack is on and Ballstrick is on, we will actually talk about that. That's what we'll actually talk about as well, because we want to talk about the future of the show and what needs to happen. Because Lee did briefly bring it up about, we have to be careful now if it goes on hiatus. Who's the ones that are going to bring it back and all of that. And I thought that was a very interesting points that Lee brought up. So I want to explore that more on Friday in relation to that if the show does go into a hiatus or a pause, because we haven't won anything, right? Everybody thinks this is a competition anyway. Nobody is winning anything here, right? I'll be devastated when this show is taken off air. People won't believe me, but I will be. I'll be absolutely gutted. This has been part of my whole life, just like with Lee, and just like with Cinnamon, right? Daniel, New Who, part of their lives all the way through. And
it's not what we want, but it's what if it's what it needs, then it needs.
But the possibility of this show going on another hiatus, especially for me and Lee, because this is our second hiatus, it's going to be heartbreaking. It's going to be devastating. Some fans have made peace with it. Lee has, and others have made peace with it. But you can tell by me, I still haven't made peace. And I keep saying that I'm going to try. but I haven't made peace with it, and it's difficult for me. It is. It's difficult for me.
I go
to
into
come on
every
and
episode
bash this
clenching
shot.
my, crossing my fingers and my toes. I'm forever the optimist. It's my downfall. I know, but that's me.
Anyway, look, I'll see you on Friday, maybe. Well, it will happen. There will be a stream Friday, I reckon. But I'll see you on Saturday when I live react to it again. And then I'll see you then next week, Monday, maybe 8 o'clock. We'll see. I'm gonna start talking to people that want to come on and see what day suits them all. I might
Maybe
do Monday,
I
but-
should. Could I just say one last thing?
right, yeah.
I think Doctor Who is an. I think Doctor Who is incel because I treat it with respect. I want to give it the best. I love it. I know I see the best in it, or I try to, and then I get served this. So I think this is rather toxic because I give and I give and I give and I get nothing back.
Exactly.
So
It's one way. Anyway,
you're
thank you
the
for watching.
incel, Doctor Who.
Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this. 31 people. We had about 40 people watching at the very beginning. Don't forget to hit that like button anyway. Share the stream if you feel like sharing it. And if you didn't get a chance to leave a live comment, go into the comment section as well and leave a comment because it does help with the algorithm. And thank you for tuning in. So we'll leave it there for now. Sorry I can't be positive about it. When he does, if he finally gives me something positive, then you know I will actually be positive about it. But unfortunately, they're not giving us anything to be positive about. So you know, we just roll on 7 more weeks of this show. Oh my god! And then we got the spin-off. Oh, but I'm doing the spin-off as well because look, this will probably be the last pieces of Doctor Who that we get if it goes on hiatus, right? So I'm gonna do the spin-off as well. So yeah, join us for the whole adventure. And yeah, R.I.P. Jean Marsh, who passed away as well. Sad news. Lee put up a lovely post as well with a picture. Of course, we all found out about it there. What was it, last night, Cinnamon? Was it last night we found out? Yeah, it was like the thing. Yeah, so I'll see you all later. I'm rambling now. I'm 18 minutes late and I'm going to get the head bashed in. I'm only messing. Right, I'm gone. See you soon. Have a good evening. And we'll talk just for the next one. This has been the Tartazone Talks. This has been her panel review of the Robot Revolution, Planet of Incels.
Polish.
That's what I'm... polish. Yeah, someone said they liked the polish robot. Listen.
Okay, yeah, I did. I'll give it that. You gadget.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did. But
until it went pro-choice, and then I don't know.
Yeah, until it went, yeah. Until it went, anti-pro-life, yeah. But still,
it wasn't a bit, was it?
Anyway, polish. See you later.